Hello, welcome to Talking the Secret Doctrine. My name is Dr. Don Franklin Shepherd, and today we will be studying the second stanza in the first volume of the Secret Doctrine on pages 53 and 54. Once again, we will be using the verbatim edition of the Secret Doctrine, published by Theosophical University Press, located out of Pasadena, California. What I want to look into today is how this second stanza relates to the Great Age, the Mahamanvantara of 311 trillion years, and how all of this correlates with the three logoi and the sevenfold mundane egg. I want to begin by reading the first sloka and trying to get a reference point for what is going on in the Secret Doctrine in the second stanza. She writes, "Where were the builders, the luminous sons of Manvantaric dawn? In the unknown darkness, in their ahi, Chohanik, Dhyani Buddhik, Paranishpana, the producers of form, Rupa, from no form, Arupa, the root of the world, the Devamatri and Swabhavat, rested in the bliss of non-being." So let's try to understand this in further detail. Looking at the first sentence, where were the builders, the luminous sons of Manvantaric dawn? H.P. Blavatsky in her own commentary says that this sentence can refer to a variety of different beings. But on this channel, we want to try to get clear reference points in that. And the second sentence helps us. She writes, "In the unknown darkness in their ahi, Chohanik, Dhyani Buddhik, Paranishpana, the producers of form, Rupa, from no form, Arupa." Well, we have the reference point with Dhyani Buddhas. We already know, and have explained earlier, that at the heart of the solar suns is a Dhyani Buddha. So we know that we're dealing with the fourth layer of the mundane egg. The term Chohanik is a reference that often indicates the planetary spirits of the various planetary chains. Therefore, in this passage, we know that we are looking at a situation where the Dhyani Buddhas, the solar suns, and the planetary spirits, the various planets, are enfolded into something greater themselves and resting. Well, into what are they enfolded? The producer of form, Rupa, from no form, Arupa. So the planetary chains in the solar system and the solar suns are enfolded in Arupa. In the Secret Doctrine, Arupa usually refers to the seventh, the sixth, and the fifth layer of the mundane egg. Rupa refers to the fourth, the third, the second, and the first. So the solar suns are in Arupa, up in the seventh. Well, what is up in the seventh? Well, the great central sun. So the solar systems are enwrapped in the great central sun. Let's look for confirmation of this in the last part of the sloka. The root of the world, the Devamatri and Swabhavat, rested in the bliss of non-being. In this particular sentence, Devamatri and Swabhavat refer to the seventh layer of the mundane egg. To get confirmation for this, we can turn to a little reference passage in the Secret Doctrine on page 527 in a footnote, in a very important footnote. It is absolutely essential to read the Secret Doctrine in light of this footnote because she explains the placement of the solar sun in three different ways. And throughout the Secret Doctrine, H.P. Blavatsky talks about the placement of the solar sun in the cosmos in a variety of ways. So let me go ahead and read here. "Here, we decidedly beg to differ with the learned gentleman. Let us remember that this ether, whether Akasha is meant by the term, or its lower principle ether, is septenary. Akasha is a deity in the allegory, and the mother of Martanda the sun, the Devamatri, mother of the gods." Well, there we have it. Akasha is a deity. We've already explained earlier on this channel that Akasha is the seventh layer of the mundane egg. Now we have an identification of it with a deity. The mother, Martanda, the Devamatri. So Deva Matri is also the seventh layer of the mundane egg. She continues. In the solar system, the sun is her booty and Vahan, the vehicle, hence the sixth principle. So we have a deity as the principle higher than the sun. She goes on and she explains the placement of the solar suns in another way. In cosmos, all the suns are the kama rupa of Akasha, and so is ours. So here we have the solar sun with the Dhyani Buddhi in the fourth layer of the mundane egg, and then we have Akasha in the seventh layer of the mundane egg. Finally, she explains the solar suns in yet another way. It is only when regarded as an individual entity in his own kingdom that Surya the sun is the seventh principle of the great body of matter. So when we take what H.P. Blavatsky says on page 527 in the first volume, and we reference it back to the second stanza in its first sloka to try to understand Deva Matri and Swabhava, in this particular passage, and it may vary in other passages, but in this particular passage, Deva Matri and Swabhava refer to the seventh layer of the mundane egg, which corresponds to the no form arupa, as opposed to the form rupa, which is below it. What this passage is saying is that at some point, prior to the Manvantaric dawn, the planetary chains and the solar chains are enwrapped in the great central sun of the seventh layer of Paramatman of the mundane egg. And the universe is going to unwrap these solar suns, and it's going to unwrap these planetary chains during the great age of a 311 trillion year cycle. That's what's going on in this first sloka in the second stanza. Let's take a look to see how H.P. Blavatsky draws further correspondences in relation to the great age and the 311 trillion year cycle. She writes, the builders, the sons of Manvantaric dawn, are the real creators of the universe. Now these builders can stand for many things, but in this particular instance, I am referring to them as the Dhyani Buddhas that overlook the solar suns that emerge from the great central sun with the great Manvantaric dawn. She continues, and in this doctrine, which deals only with the planetary system, now the reason she uses the word planetary system is above she's used the word Chohanic. Those, in many cases, are identical. When the word Chohanic is used, it often is referring to a planetary system. When the word Dhyani Buddha is used, it's often referring to solar suns. She goes on. They, as the architects of the latter, are also called the watchers of the seven spheres. So we have Dhyani Buddhas who are looking over the various rounds, the various cycles in a planetary system. And we have various Dhyani Chohans who are looking over the various root races during that particular round. They are all watchers, Dhyani Buddhas, Dhyani Chohans, and they all emerge with the great Manvantaric dawn of the great age of a 311 trillion year cycle. H.P. Blavatsky goes on to talk about the seven eternities relating to a Mahakalpa, the great age of Brahma, the life of the great age of Brahma in which the solar systems and the planetary chains are living, is when the central point is the third logos, tinctures the seventh layer of Paramatman of the mundane egg. She goes on in the next paragraph in stanza 2. Paranishpana, remember, is the summum bonum, the absolute, hence the same as paranirvana. Besides being the final state, it is that condition of subjectivity which has no relation to anything but the one absolute truth, paramarta satya, on its plane. And this is absolutely key, because earlier in the first proposition of the secret doctrine, we referenced H.P. Blavatsky's words that the human mind could not speculate on the one principle, it could not think of the one principle. But these are very specific references to a certain type of human mind frame, a certain type of human consciousness. Here in this passage, H.P. Blavatsky is talking about Paramarta. And Paramarta is an entirely different state of consciousness than human thought and human speculation. For example, she continues, there is a great difference between conscious and unconscious being. The condition of paranishpana without Paramarta, the self-analyzing consciousness, is no bliss, but simply extinction for 7 eternities. So what we have here is we have H.P. Blavatsky identifying Paramarta with a self-analyzing principle. And it is this Paramarta which exists when our inner vision is developed enough to try to explore the inner cosmos of the third logos, the central point, the second logos, the dull black ground, the first logos, the immaculate white disk. For example, when somebody is sitting in his chair and he's looking around at the books and the tables and the plates and the glasses, the stoneware around him, he's operating through thought and speculation. But when he closes his eyes and with his inner vision, he throws himself up into the realms of Mula Prakriti. He's not operating through thought and speculation anymore. He's operating through Paramarta Satya. He's operating through Paramarta, a self-analyzing principle which a human being can develop within him. He's no longer operating with the realms of thought, of speculation. He's operating with the principle that Mula Prakriti itself is operating through. Remember, in the first proposition, H.P. Blavatsky wrote that Mula Prakriti was bare subjectivity. That is, there is an intelligent principle. There is a self-analyzing principle in Mula Prakriti. It is this, in a general way, that corresponds to Paramarta. It is a being. And when we throw ourselves up to it, we begin to live as it does as a being. And we begin to perceive and we begin to express ourselves as it does on its own plane of consciousness. There's a lot to think about here. The most important part of what has been presented tonight is that we must remember the importance of H.P. Blavatsky's footnote, especially the one on page 527. H.P. Blavatsky discusses the solar suns in different ways throughout the Secret Doctrine. She discusses the planetary chains in different ways throughout the Secret Doctrine. In one place, the solar suns may in fact be the 7th principle. Somewhere else, the solar suns may in fact be the 6th principle. Somewhere else, the solar suns may in fact be the 4th principle. And what she does on 527 is she lays out how these different ways of looking at the solar sun are presented in the Secret Doctrine. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I look forward to seeing you again. Take care.